life was at my feet, and whatever I wanted to do, I was able to do it. I was very outgoing. I was lucky that I went to St. Bede's. I was intelligent. I was articulate. I was a bit of a ladies' man. I was a very good-looking bloke. Because I was very outgoing, and my personality showed me to be quite an outgoing person. At interviews, I could pass interviews stood on my head. I had a confidence about me. Regardless of qualifications, when I sat there, I'd get the job based on how I put myself across. I was living with my grandparents because it made going to school that little bit easier. My mum moved well away from the area, and travelling to school was difficult. It was great being with my grandparents because from a very young age I've always been very close to them. But sadly they died, and that was quite a turning point in my life because I really missed them. One night we were at a housewarming party with family. Champagne, lager, booze was just flowing for fun. Everyone was having a great time, and at first I was having a great time, but I think as I had a bit too much to drink, I started to kind of withdraw and I guess keep thinking about my grandparents and other things that had been changing at that period in my life. It reached a point where I'd become so withdrawn that I just didn't want to be there anymore. Basically I felt that I just had to go, I had to escape, and I had to get back to my surroundings, my home. I really didn't know how I was going to go home. It was a long way. I just needed to get out of where I was. At the time I was leaving the house, there was a young man who was very intoxicated. He basically wasn't thinking as he perhaps should have done as a result of the alcohol. For some reason he decided to take a car that didn't belong to him. He shouldn't have been driving, he didn't have a licence, therefore he wasn't taxed, he wasn't insured, and you know, he was doing something he would not have ordinarily done. He got into the car, he took the handbrake off, he put his foot down on the accelerator and went away at a speed he shouldn't have been doing. He was driving extremely fast, and he took a 90-degree corner at a colossal speed. He didn't make it round the corner. He mounted the footpath, and the collision occurred with such violence and velocity that I was just thrown into the air. I landed on my face and it basically crumbled. I broke everything from the fourth vertebrae in the neck upwards. My right cheek was in about 100 pieces. I lost about 3 or 4 teeth at the front of my mouth. My eye sockets were smashed. My brain came through the front of my skull. I broke my right shoulder, my left ankle, a lot of my ribs at the front of my rib cage. I was basically very smashed up, and although I had no memory of the pain, I must have been in absolute agony. I was conscious when the ambulance arrived. I don't know what they thought looking at me. I must have looked a hell of a mess. They took me to bury casualty, and basically from the minute I got there, there must have been tens of people fighting basically just to keep me alive. Once they'd managed to stabilise me and keep me kind of on the planet, I was transferred to North Manchester General Hospital, where I started to undergo hours and hours of operations. I was on the intensive care ward for about 10 days, and then I was transferred to the neurosurgery ward. I started to become aware that something had happened to me. I was in quite an immature, childlike kind of frame of mind because of my head injury. I hadn't, up until this point, looked in a mirror, but I was aware that I had all this mad metal stuff all around me. I had these little pumps on the side of my head that, when you squeezed them, they drained fluid out of my head. I was fortunate that I didn't really feel much in the way of physical pain, because basically I was on a lot of morphine, but there's more to what was happening than the pain. I guess the realisation that something bad had happened. The doctors came round to see me, and I remember them saying to me that they needed to do an operation, and they had to cut me from one ear over my head to the other ear and pull my face off, and that was so that they could basically start putting together all the bones in my face, because my eyes were unlevel, my nose had literally gone into the back through my skull. When I was allowed out of bed, I was allowed to go for a wash, and then I looked in the mirror. Life had to go on. I was very unsure about anything, really. I went to and from hospital. I was seeing psychologists, neurologists, orthopaedic surgeons, facial maxillary surgeons, and it was very hard, because although I was trying to get on with my life, every time I went back to hospital it was a reminder of things I just didn't want to remember. I basically changed. I just wasn't me. My personality completely changed. I became very short-tempered, aggressive, even violent at times. I had epilepsy, I had brain damage. My right eye socket was so broken that I lost the tear duct in my eye, and because of this, tears forever come out of my eyes if it's cold or if it's windy. Because I've lost my teeth, if I don't have any teeth in, just doing a simple thing like shaving, I've got to stick my finger in my mouth, and it takes me probably 3 or 4 times longer than it should do just to do a simple thing like shave. My jaw was so broken that every time I brush my teeth, even to this day, and we're now 16 years later, I retch, and that can make me vomit. So that's not a very good way to start your day. I cannot sleep. Doesn't matter what I do, I cannot sleep. If one night I have a few hours sleep, the night after I can be absolutely knackered, but my brain just won't go to sleep. Over the years I've learned that if I just lie on my back and just really relax, even though I'm not asleep, I'm resting my body and I'm giving my body as much sleep as it can get without actually being asleep. My emotions are completely haywire. I cry very easily, which, being a guy, is not the done thing in society. My memory's very bad. I really struggle with names. Because I've lost my sense of smell, it really affects my sense of taste. So I don't really enjoy food anymore. I went to see my doctor, and he gave me a sick note, and I was thinking 3 or 6 months and I'll be back at work soon. And I looked at the sick note, and it said period, sickness, indefinite. And that's kind of when I realised that my prospects weren't very good. That was years ago, and I'm still not working. I don't feel like I'm living anymore, I'm just kind of existing. The only thing that's enabled me to cope and come to terms with things as best I can is the knowledge that the young man that stole the car was me. I often think that if I'd have done what I've done to me to somebody else, that I just wouldn't be here today. I couldn't live knowing that I'd put someone else through what I put myself through.